Alm, the son of a family of royal servants in Belgrade, has been friends with Princess Lazisha since childhood. After his family died due to a plague, Lazisha appointed him as her personal servant. Alm served her loyally, but as she grew up, Lazisha became harsh and belittled him. Alm then left the palace. On his journey, he accidentally saved Princess Frauheim from another kingdom and became her personal servant again. With her, Alm finally felt warmth, friendship, and the meaning of a home. In a place deep in the forest, bandits were seen surrounding a young man. But suddenly, those bandits were immediately thrown back and lay sprawled on the ground with red liquid stains on their bodies. On the other hand, the bandit's target looked fine, standing without any issues and holding a pen in his hand. Seeing this incident, the remaining bandits panicked. They didn't expect their target, whom they thought was weak because he was dressed like a servant, to be able to fight back, even using just a pen. One of them questioned the young man's identity, and with a calm tone, the young man turned and told them that he was just an ordinary servant. In a kingdom named Belgrade, inside the castle, the sound of a breaking plate suddenly echoed. The sound came from the room where the princess was, and there stood a young servant with cream stains in his hair and a slight bruise on his cheek. At his feet, a broken plate was visible, which was the source of the earlier sound. The young servant's name was Alm Steina, and Alm himself could only stand silently in front of his master, who was a princess. The princess, with a tone full of anger and annoyance while pointing at Alm, emphasized that she had told Alm from the beginning that she was in the mood to eat macarons. Hearing that, Alm tried to defend himself by politely replying that previously the princess had wanted to eat a cake, but upon hearing Alm daring to contradict her, she exploded even more. She immediately cursed at Alm without hesitation and ordered him to be quiet. She also reminded Alm about a servant's duty, which according to her, a servant's job is to serve their master perfectly. Alm himself already knew that his master's nature was like this. His master was named Lazisha Ringveld Belgrade, a princess from the kingdom of Belgrade. Thanks to her cute and charming appearance, Lazisha gained many supporters from the country. But behind all that, Lazisha always forced him to give impossible or nearly impossible tasks almost every time. Even so, Alm also knew himself that his master didn't have this nature before. In the past, when Alm's parents worked as servants in the royal family's residence, one day they passed away due to a plague. Lazisha, who was Alm's friend and also his master who always played together when they were children, also mourned at his parents' funeral. The young Alm, who was still a child and faced a heavy tragedy where he lost all his close relatives, including his parents, could only cry. In the midst of that deep sorrow, Lazisha suddenly ordered Alm to stop crying and mourning. While smiling brightly and radiantly, she emphasized that she would make Alm her personal servant, so Alm didn't need to worry about anything. For Alm, Lazisha's words at that time were like sunlight shining on him when he was drowning in an ocean of grief. Because of that, for Lazisha, who had extended her hand to him, Alm promised himself to repay her kindness by becoming her personal servant. However, everything changed completely in an instant. The Lazisha that Alm knew as kind and friendly. Now Lazisha seemed like an arrogant and rude princess both in her words and actions when alone. Even now, Lazisha without hesitation used harsh words and cursed at him. Alm himself was indeed annoyed when he was cursed like that. But thanks to the promise he made to himself, Alm always held back. He believed that his master's behavior was just her tantrum habit, and when his master grew up, her nature would change. But suddenly Lazisha uttered a sentence that Alm had never thought of, with the same tone full of annoyance. She said that being stuck with a useless person like trash was a truly unlucky situation. Hearing that, Alm was extremely shocked. He stood there silently with widened eyes in surprise and disbelief at what he had just heard. Alm's mouth even opened while letting out a confused sound. He then, with a confused tone, asked to confirm. What she meant by the sentence stuck with him. Hearing the question, Lazisha became even more annoyed. She, with an annoyed and angry tone, explained that Alm was stupid for not realizing this. Where she did all this just to fulfill what her parents asked, and she also accepted her parents' request only for a trivial reason like childhood friend. She then commented with a mocking tone and a sneer that Alm only grew taller, but remained useless as usual. That's why she no longer needed Alm like this. Those words immediately stung like a needle to Alm's heart. He thought Lazisha needed him. And because of that thought, he hoped to be useful to Lazisha even if just a little. But the reality was the opposite. Realizing all that, Alm laughed softly, not happily but disappointed. Seeing Alm laugh made Lazisha even more annoyed. She without hesitation took a flower vase nearby and threw it at Alm's head until it broke. Alm still stood silently even though his head was hit by the flower vase. Seeing him silent, Lazisha became even more annoyed. She ordered him to say something and insulted him by assuming Alm couldn't even say a word of apology. Red liquid slowly started to drip from Alm's temple, and with a tone that was still calm, but with a disappointed gaze, Alm told Lazisha that today he would resign from his position as Lazisha's personal servant. Hearing that come straight from Alm's mouth, Lazisha looked quite shocked, to the point she let out a confused sound. The next day, Alm left the residence and was riding a horse carriage. With his servant uniform, he sat at the end of the horse carriage and stared at the clear sky. He stared blankly at the sky, and in his heart, he shouted that he had really quit his job as a servant. He then remembered yesterday's incident where he could quit his job very quickly and smoothly. That made him think that he was truly incompetent, so his resignation process went so smoothly. Even Lazisha herself yesterday was shocked, not disappointed, but happy. After that, Lazisha still insulted him, and without hesitation offered an expensive trip so Alm could leave her kingdom. While watching the birds flying freely in the air, it made him realize that now he was free. Right when he left the kingdom, he would no longer have to handle Lazisha's impossible requests. Looking at his uniform, Alm felt a bit regretful because he didn't have time to buy casual clothes to wear now. Right when Alm was thinking about starting his new life, the horse carriage he was riding suddenly stopped abruptly, accompanied by a panicked scream informing that there were bandits attacking them. The passengers became shocked and asked about the bandits' whereabouts. The driver informed that the bandits were seen heading towards them up ahead. But luckily those bandits didn't target the horse carriage ridden by Alm. But unlucky for the group protecting a horse carriage that looked like nobility, which was also in front of the horse carriage ridden by Alm. The bandits, who looked experienced and numerous, immediately surrounded that horse carriage. One of them, who was the leader, ordered his subordinates to kidnap the women and get rid of the men. The knights protecting the noble's horse carriage started to spread out and surround the horse carriage. But even so, they knew that their current situation was very disadvantaged because they were outnumbered. They were also quite shocked by the bandits' appearance because this road usually rarely had them appear, even almost impossible. But with their appearance, one of the knights suspected someone leaked about their departure. In that tension, suddenly Alm was already beside one of the knights without him realizing. With a flat tone and expression, Alm asked for permission from the knight. Hearing Alm's voice suddenly appear beside him, of course, made the knight extremely shocked and asked about Alm's identity. Alm didn't answer and instead told him that he heard screams coming from here. Seeing Alm as a civilian, the knight immediately warned him to leave immediately because this place was dangerous. But when he saw one bandit behind Alm already acting and starting to swing his axe, the knight panicked and intended to move to protect Alm. However, Alm was faster than the knight. He without hesitation reached into his jacket pocket and took out a small pen and blocked the swing of the large axe using that pen. The bandit for a moment furrowed his brow before opening his eyes wide in shock when his axe swing was blocked by a pen. Alm, while closing his eyes, asked permission from the knight to help the knights because they were outnumbered by the bandits. With a simple movement, shifting the axe's trajectory, suddenly the bandit's axe was thrown back and Alm immediately swung the sharp end of his pen towards the bandit's neck. After the attempted kidnapping incident, on the other side, in the kingdom of Belgrade, a female servant looked shocked after hearing what Lazisha told her. Where Lazisha told the female servant that she had hired and sent bandits to chase the horse carriage belonging to the princess of the Bridget kingdom. With a tone of disbelief and panic, the female servant questioned Lazisha's reason for doing such a heinous thing. Lazisha didn't feel guilty at all. With a belittling and arrogant tone, she said that a princess from a small kingdom dared to talk back to her. She felt that the princess from the other kingdom didn't deserve to go home safely after daring to do that to her. Lazisha sneered while looking out the window. She said that she would make the princess regret giving her a bad impression. But in reality, the princess was fine. It turned out that the noble horse carriage helped by Alm was the horse carriage belonging to the princess. In the guest room, the princess with her charming appearance smiled kindly and enthusiastically towards Alm. She welcomed Alm warmly and without hesitation immediately offered sweet or salty snacks to him. Seeing all that, Alm could only stand stunned, confused about how to react. Suddenly the princess took a sugar box and asked if Alm was okay with being served tea as a companion to the snacks. Seeing that as his habit as a servant, Alm panicked and immediately asked her to stop preparing the tea because it could make the princess wet. Hearing that, the princess understood Alm's intention. She laughed softly while explaining that Alm was her guest and also her savior, so it was only natural for her to welcome Alm here. She then asked Alm to just sit there. Alm had no other choice. With awkward steps, he sat on the sofa, his body so stiff when he truly felt awkward. He then sighed and regulated his breathing to calm himself. In his heart, he felt it had been a very long time to feel treated like this. This reminded him of his job in the past when he was still in the Kingdom of Belgrade, where only he was very busy, including serving others. But even so, Luzicia never knew even one thing he had ever done for her. He really thought to do everything to make her happy, but everything didn't meet expectations. Alm was truly immersed in his thoughts. It was understandable for him, who had just quit his job as a servant, now suddenly entered another kingdom. Alm snapped back from his thoughts when he heard the princess's voice calling him several times. Realizing the princess had called him several times, Alm apologized and explained that he was lost in thought. Hearing that, the princess asked if Alm was thinking about his old job. Alm was a bit shocked when the princess could guess it. With a slightly hesitant tone, Alm explained that he intended to serve his master until the end of his life. Alm then smiled bitterly and added that no matter how much he dedicated himself, his master never knew it. He then said he was a useless person and also someone who was never wanted. Hearing the self-deprecating sentence come out of Alm's mouth, the princess immediately denied it by saying firmly that what Alm just said was not true. She then explained that wasn't it Alm who had saved her. Alm was the only one who had saved her life, and because of that she asked Alm not to belittle himself. That sentence shocked Alm. Without Alm realizing, tears started to fall from both his eyes. The princess's sentence just now was like light pulling him from a dark area that had never been touched by warm light. Seeing Alm shedding tears, the princess was a bit shocked and apologized. She then extended her hand and started hugging Alm gently. With her soft voice and her hand stroking Alm's head, the princess calmed Alm like a child, a treatment that he had been seeking since his parents' departure. Alm's tears flowed even more. The princess emphasized with a soft tone that Alm was an extraordinary person, so Alm needed to take care of himself better than this. Feeling all that, Alm felt happy as well as nostalgic. He now knew that his desire all this time was for his existence to be known by someone, not just as someone who could be ordered around, but also as a human. The next day, in the morning, Alm was still wearing his old servant uniform. He put on his new gloves and prepared in front of the mirror. Alm smiled when remembering the princess's reaction when she just realized that Alm's master he served was Princess Luzicia. The princess even got angry herself after hearing it. She felt very annoyed with Luzicia's behavior, who treated Alm like a slave and arbitrarily, until without hesitation discarding Alm like that. The princess, with a tone still annoyed, emphasized to Alm that she would not do the same to Alm as Luzicia did to him. The princess, even with a proud tone, told Alm that a servant who could defeat bandits alone was someone great, and she was sure there was no other servant as great as Alm. She then approached him and gave a pin to Alm. She explained that his official job was not something light, because in reality his job was quite a lot, and she also wanted Alm to accept the emblem pin as proof that Alm was her personal servant. While smiling kindly, the princess asked again if Alm was willing to lend his strength for the sake of this kingdom. Alm without hesitation accepted it, and now Alm attached the emblem pin to his collar. He looked at himself in the mirror and reminded himself that he was not an experienced servant, and today was his first day working. Because of that, he had to stay alert. Time passed, and Alm started working at the princess's residence. As usual, Alm was given tasks by her. But within about an hour, Alm returned to the princess's room to submit his work results. The princess was certainly shocked by Alm's speed in completing his work. The princess knew how difficult the work given to Alm was and how many there were, but Alm could complete all of them within 1 hour. In the midst of that shock, Alm then apologized to the princess because he needed more time than he estimated. Hearing the apology, the princess became even more shocked and said that Alm had given very great help. As if not given a break to not be shocked, when the princess looked at Alm's work papers, she was made shocked because she realized that besides completing his work, Alm also took the time to give comments on her work and fix her calculation errors. Even not only that, Alm also found solutions to the river repair problems and found which parts of the budget should be increased in a construction project. While the princess felt shocked by all those major completions, Alm, on the other hand, felt awkward. He then, with a self-deprecating tone, said that work like this, according to him, could be completed in 30 minutes. But because he was still not used to the new work environment, he instead needed a full hour. Hearing that, the princess was made shocked again, even more in disbelief, to the point she said that this was work that normally was done in a full day. Alm, who was already used to unreasonable work, felt that the princess was too kind to him. With a happy tone, Alm apologized to the princess for having to feel sorry for him. Hearing that, the princess increasingly felt in disbelief with all this, to the point of asking Alm about what kind of place Alm worked before. After checking all her work, the princess rested in her room while eating snacks accompanied by a cup of tea. The princess said that thanks to Alm now she had more free time. She then invited Alm to see the city together. Hearing that, Alm immediately became shocked. According to him, going out of the castle meant city inspection, and that also meant very important and dangerous work. Because of his previous work, Alm was always very careful. And because of that, he knew that dangers like elimination done by the princess's opposing factions would be very possible, even up to kidnapping. And with the presence of an important person like the princess, then national-level security had to be involved. With that thought, Alm strengthened his resolve to protect and ensure the princess wouldn't get even a small injury during her city inspection work. Alm then suddenly bowed towards the princess and said that he would protect her even if he had to sacrifice his own life. Hearing Alm's suddenly promise, that made the princess confused. After preparing, the two of them departed to the city to start their inspection. On the way, Alm felt something was off. He was indeed already very alert. But the oddity was in the residents' reactions. Alm stood behind the princess, who was being crowded by the residents very kindly. Even the residents greeted the princess and thanked her. There were also those who gave their business products as thanks to the princess. After all that, the two of them then continued their work. When the two of them left, Alm innocently said that something strange happened. The princess, who was saying goodbye, asked back what was strange. Alm explained with a serious but innocent tone that during the city inspection there should be dangers lurking, because that's what he experienced while working at his previous place. Hearing that, the princess grinned mischievously and said that if that's the case, then she could show a new side of the world to Alm. Hearing that, Alm just stood silently amazed by the princess's expression. The princess continued greeting people she knew, even to the elderly. Seeing that Alm could only look at his master and think that his master this time really built close relationships with her people. And that's why many people gave her the nickname, the Sunflower Princess, because of her kind and warm nature. After walking around the city for so long, Alm then asked the princess whether doing city inspection was the last agenda today. The princess answered that they had other agendas, like checking the progress of the flood control construction from the river. Hearing that, Alm innocently made a confused expression. The princess explained that the river near the kingdom's capital gave many blessings to her territory's land, but the river also sometimes flooded, especially when the rainy season arrived. And the flood gave quite serious impacts to various things like residents, houses, fields, and others. She also reminded Alm that it was Alm who highlighted the shortcomings in the river maintenance planning. Alm nodded, remembering that he had read such a document earlier. The princess then added that that's why she thought to go check it directly as soon as possible. Hearing that, Alm asked again if the princess would do it personally. The princess then smiled confidently and proudly, then said that her father was busy with diplomatic work. Because of that, she wanted to take over his duties in this kingdom for the time being. After some time later, the two of them arrived at the construction site where the workers were working there. Seeing the princess's arrival, one of the workers there felt shocked and guilty, then with a worried tone said that the princess even needed to come to the unfinished construction site. The princess then, with her innocent smile, greeted them all and thanked them for their hard work. She also told that she came just to check something. The princess then turned to Alm and asked for his opinion about the construction. Alm then stood silent for a moment while putting his hand on his chin as he assessed the construction. Alm then commented that this construction was in bad condition. Hearing the comment, the workers became very shocked. Alm commented again that not only the defects he found earlier. Alm then asked the workers, weren't they asked to work on this construction as quickly as possible? One worker nodded, confirming, and explained that they were currently in a very tight deadline to complete this project before the rainy season arrived. But now they had many workers who were sick and injured. Alm commented again that they also lacked suitable soil for the embankment. Even the scaffolding was simpler than planned. And according to him, if this condition continued, Even before entering the rainy season, the embankment would already be destroyed first. Hearing that the princess felt the construction situation was very bad, when she was about to give instructions to the workers to stop their work, suddenly an echoing sound was heard accompanied by a shaking like an earthquake that made the workers shocked and panicked. When turning, a landslide was seen happening near them coming from the cliff. The workers ran in panic, saving themselves. Seeing the disaster, the princess reflexively wanted to run towards them, but Alm immediately stopped her while warning her that going there was very dangerous. Alm then emphasized that he would go there replacing the princess. The princess initially refused, but Alm emphasized again that he was the princess's personal servant. Because of that, he asked the princess to immediately give her order. With a bit of hesitation, finally the princess gave her order to Alm. She said that as a princess, she gave an order to Alm to go save everyone there without being reckless. After getting the order, Alm immediately ran towards the landslide location. While the workers ran in panic, Alm ran in the opposite direction from them. Although the soil had stopped for a moment, but a subsequent landslide occurred, seeing that Alm realized that the landslide was sliding and spreading more. If this was left alone, he knew there would be more victims. Finding the best way to solve this problem, Alm immediately used his magic. With both hands, he started chanting his spell. 2 magic circles with different patterns and colors appeared on each hand, where 2 magics with different elements, namely wind and earth, were created. Alm used his earth magic to stop the landslide's movement, then at the same time used his wind magic to help the victims trapped in the soil to pull them out. Seeing all of Alm's actions made the workers watching him shocked, especially the princess. She even commented with an admiring tone that people who could use magic were very rare in this world. Even for someone who could use 1 magic element alone was considered very great, but for Alm's case, who could use 2 elements at once, that was beyond great. Hearing that, Alm turned and innocently told that he didn't just use 2 magic elements, but he could use all 4 magic elements, and that's what made him a servant. Hearing that, the princess became even more shocked because that was far very extraordinary. On the other hand, one of the workers who talked with Alm earlier suddenly laughed out loud while praising Alm as the princess's personal servant. He then patted Alm's back jokingly while thanking him for saving his workers. While the workers crowded Alm with expressions and tones of admiration and thanks, on the other hand, the princess was still shocked and in disbelief that her personal servant exceeded her expectations too much. In the middle of the banquet event, a sudden report came in where a stampede disaster or wave of monsters had occurred across the country simultaneously. In that critical situation, Alm volunteered to draw the attention of the monster wave heading to their kingdom. Although initially rejected, Alm explained to them that in his old kingdom, he was once ordered to defeat a monster wave alone. After getting support from all the evacuating people, including the princess, Alm finally departed to the front line where the monster wave occurred. The monsters looked at Alm with gazes full of greed when seeing their prey. Alm himself didn't feel scared or trembling at all. Instead, he felt nostalgic after not feeling this tension for quite a long time. With the situation around the residents already evacuated, Alm became even more excited. He remembered, in the past he just did his job without thinking long. But this time was different. He had a place to return to and people he had to protect. Because of that, he had to buy as much time as possible, so his master in the castle could give directions freely and accurately. Not long after, a wyvern flew towards Alm and intended to devour him directly, but Alm didn't stay still. He immediately used his earth magic to make sharp soil that instantly ended them there. Alm charged forward to the deepest line of the monster wave to draw their attention. Alm without hesitation used his magic to eliminate as many as possible. When a large-sized slime suddenly appeared, Alm was made a bit shocked, right when the slime's mouth closed when successfully catching Alm. Alm immediately used his wind magic to make a surprise attack until making the slime's body instantly destroyed from inside. Although successfully eliminating several monsters in quite a large number, Alm could feel that these monsters mostly had resistance to magic. Besides that, the number of strengthened monsters also increased from usual, but in the middle of analyzing it, suddenly a strong killing aura appeared right behind Alm. Alm reflexively turned to his back, only to find a large hand already right at his face. Suddenly an explosion occurred due to the monster's magic attack. The monster was seen having a human-like build, but with pointed parts on every body, and also a face like a skull. Alm himself managed to withstand the magic attack, although he had to be thrown back because of it, Alm wasn't pressured. He instead started analyzing the monster. Alm estimated the monster was a type with intelligence, or a mutant. Although the monster was strong enough to make Alm thrown back, Alm increasingly felt he couldn't retreat and had to keep fighting it. Holding his sword tightly, Alm charged again and immediately used his magic. At the same time, the monster also used its magic, which made the area around them filled with their magic circles as they fought fiercely. At the same time, in the kingdom, the princess of the Frauheim kingdom was busy giving directions to her ministers. She asked for the latest report from the monster wave containment done by Alm, and also still ordered them to maintain emergency status.